figure out why. If considering starting a Commonplace binder, figure out why. Okay, so we're looking at Commonplace Binder 101. This is a Commonplace binder. Basically, a commonplace book. So why are you doing this? Well, probably you're experiencing information overload, or this is an assignment for school, or you're just really bored. But maybe you think it's going to change your life. So, I don't know. One way to use this is to reduce clutter. This is actually how I started using this in the first place. I had a whole bunch of stuff left over from school, and it was just stuff everywhere, and it was really annoying. So I used that paper to make slightly fancier paper, and then eventually I had a big system that could generate stuff like this, no problem. Which is kind of fun. A meaningful life. Sorry, pressed the wrong thing. This is very weird visually. A meaningful life. So I don't think adding a bunch of note cards on the wall is the key to a meaningful life, but note cards is more of a Zettelkasten thing, and we're talking about a commonplace binder, which is kind of a commonplace book, just without page numbers or an index. Still have a content section, still have almost all the other stuff, but a meaningful life. I don't know, I guess. It does help me sleep better, knowing that I've written the stuff down ahead of time, but you don't need a specific worded thing for that. You don't need, like, a journal, which is fancy, to lead a meaningful life. You know what I mean? So that one's kind of silly. Problem solving. So if you felt like you didn't leave a meaningful life, or you're kind of worried about that, and you want to leave something behind for your kids, maybe the way you're going to solve that problem is by writing about all the things from your meaningful life. Because it might be that some things you don't find interesting are things that they find interesting. So it might be recipes, or you might actually have a label on a cookbook which you find really interesting and that was made by a relative, and it's just, you're trying to pass stuff on, but that's more of a long game. So why do I have long game here? Well, if you start it, it's going to take you a long time. Because, there are a few pages in here, and this is the demo. This is the demo that I made for this. So, assuming we're only adding one page per year, how long is it going to take to do that? Now, you're probably going to add more than one page per day, but you might take a break for several weeks or even months. And that's kind of annoying, but, people get busy sometimes. So, gotta eliminate interruptions. I'm very sorry if you hear a bunch of noise in the background. I believe somebody just got home. And while it's very difficult to record a video when stuff like that is happening, because it's very distracting, and so I have to have the headset on, not because it's like blasting music, just because I need to cover my ears, because otherwise I'm going to go crazy from all the noise. You gotta interrupt, when there is the background noise, it'll interrupt thoughts and processes, and it's really annoying. So you don't want that. That's pretty obvious. Thoughts on the page. So this is more like thoughts on the wall. But really what you want to do is you just want to write down your thoughts on the page. And sometimes it might be useful. It might just be like, I like chicken, but that might be a grocery list. It'll just be like, I like chicken, and you convert it into chicken, and then you put it under like a numbered list, and you have like chicken and peas and rice, and like you just keep listing things as you go down, and then it's like, oh yeah, I could probably get some of that. Thoughts on the, I think we just did thoughts on the page. Advice. Good advice is to pay attention to how one is presenting their video, so they actually know what they're looking at. No, but I guess some advice I could give is, if you are using a binder, you get a brand new binder, because that way you'll always feel it's new. You might see that it gets a little grimy at some point, so figure out how to clean that off. Or you could just keep switching from binder to binder, but to binder. That seems a little ridiculous. You should probably try to use at least medium level paper. If you have paper that, cannot stay in the rings and tears out instantly, that's not good. Now the first page and the last page will break down a lot faster, just because of the rings. So if you have anything that makes it uneven, kind of like these, which lift up this corner of the page, then this part here is going to get a little bit more destroyed. That's fine. But if you have like you know, some disposable paper meant for existing in an office, it's not going to last very well, or very long. Wiki. I recommend reading a lot on Wikipedia about this sort of thing. You could probably find some stuff on Reddit, but on Reddit people, as far as I can tell, normally talk about like numbered lists, or just lists in general of different topics that they have, which is fine. It's just, you might not feel super connected to that. It might be like, okay, this is a section on literature, but like, what does that mean for me? I don't know. Identify the gaps. So the gap in between my door and the floor is making it sound like there are people right out there. But yeah, you might find some gaps, just like in a Wikipedia article. There might be things that feel like they should be there and they're just not. Or maybe not within the specific article, but on all of Wikipedia as a whole. Like, for example, if you're looking at something related to a country that isn't super fond of Wikipedia, you know, maybe like Iran or Russia or China, there might be big sections missing about something pretty important, kind of like a state or province or territory, might only have like a line of text. Now, with all the new AI tools, that's probably going to get filled out, but this is not exactly an AI tool, so you're going to have to spot the gaps yourself. But remember, if you are missing territorial location names from like random parts of Asia, if that's really what you're passionate about, then go fill that in. But if you don't, well, it doesn't really matter, because a commonplace of any kind is mostly your own information, not an exhaustive Wikipedia on all of human knowledge. So that one's kind of done. Sustainable. You just focus on what you want. So that's kind of sustainable energy-wise. But in terms of the energy required to, you know, get all the paper, I don't know. Do you think it's more sustainable to do all this on paper, or do you think it's more sustainable to do this all on the computer? Because on the computer we're using all the power, but if we're doing it with paper, then, you know, you gotta transport it and, you know, cut down the trees or whatever is used. And I try to just not think about the sustainable part too much. Because here's the thing. In my education project, which is going to be the playlist that I talk about next year for the Commonplace diploma, I do kind of advocate that everyone has one of these. The problem is, if you're making an education system, it will affect everyone, or at least, you know, 1% of the population. And if you do that, and then you tell everyone to, like, cut down the trees to make the note cards, that might not be super sustainable. But, you know, people have the freedom to choose. So, in the education project, there are a whole bunch of different things that they can do. Kind of. There are only so many options we have. But within the binder itself, you should have total freedom to do whatever you want. If you write something on the computer, it might be seen. Because it seems like people are always looking at each other's stuff now. But if you have it on paper, unless someone physically goes through your what is essentially a glorified journal or diary, or I guess lab notes. I don't know. Maybe they won't like what they see in there, but it's your thing, so you should have the freedom to do whatever you want in there. Commonplace book. It's kind of silly to see Commonplace book here when we're talking about Commonplace binder, but just as a refresher, in case anyone forgot this, Commonplace binder doesn't exist. Commonplace book does as a subject. So this playlist is kind of just like making up another term for something similar to what people are already doing. So this way I can talk about my thing, which is more plans and ideas, and, you know, it's a little bit sloppier. It's not like a 1,000-year-long art form. But I'm trying to make it for kids, so it if it required, you know, chess master precision, then, like, that wouldn't make any sense. I'm just trying to cover the basics. The basics you need to know are you take notes, and you look at the notes later, and turn the notes into something else, and that's kind of helpful. So one reason why people don't like to show their Commonplace books, or, you know, Commonplace binders to people, is that what it contains is normally the personal knowledge, which is like the stuff that is the little pieces of discarded projects that they use to make new projects. So it's kind of a book of failures in some ways, which is kind of a bummer to look at. But if you only make it your absolute best stuff, then it's like looking at everybody else's Instagram. You know, you might get a little bummed out, like, oh man, my stuff was so good. Why is my stuff now not so good? But also looking at only your greatest hits might make things a little weird upstairs. How to, you just gotta keep doing it. So just do it, and then do it again, and then your system might change. Like, it might be a binder, it might turn into a book, and then it might be digital, and then you might have some sort of AI thing. Like, that's fine. We're talking about starting. So just start it, and you're good. Struggling. If you're still struggling to figure this out and you don't really know what you're doing, please leave a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't know. It's just kind of funny that this is struggling and then this is also struggling. So if you were struggling and what I said didn't help and the comments didn't help, then, maybe check out the next video on struggling to vlog my ideas. Because it is a little awkward to just talk to a camera in a room on my own, where I'm vlogging about the ideas, basically. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.